Welcome to Blue Monday from the Blue Room. It's just me and Dave today, as Roger's taking a little bit of a break from it all. It feels a bit like the Fun Boy 3 without Terry Hall, if anyone gets that reference. I'm sure Roger will. So I was thinking if anyone sort of wants to join us occasionally on Blue Monday to sort of give their thoughts, just get in touch and we'll see what we can do. As ever, we'll do some housekeeping first. If you're listening on the podcast, please do leave us a rating, a review and a follow. And if you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe, give us a thumbs up and a comment. Coming up this week, we'll have a little look back at Roma, cover some of the new grounds, teething problems, as there seem to be quite a few, but it was a test event, so that's to be expected. And there was some possible censorship by the stewards, but we'll get into that at the end. But Dave, I think we probably should start with the big news that's kind of broken today, and that's Jack Grealish looks like he's on his way to Everton. And I think a £15 million loan deal. Funny one, this, isn't it? There's been a lot of to and fro about like whether he will go to Everton. We've had our hat in the ring for a long time, but it's like it seems a no-brainer because he's such a good player. But for me, it's just, I don't know, there's a little bit of reservation and I don't know what it is. Where are you with it?
Yeah, I think I don't specifically agree with people who are overly critical about it and don't want it and think, well, you know, we're getting a player that's finished now. He's 29 years old.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, Les? I think, you know, he's still got his best days ahead of him, or should do. The real baggage that comes with him is pretty obvious, isn't it? When, you know, we've seen the he likes to get out in town and stuff, that, to put it mildly. I've seen a few people already say he's going to be like Andy van der Meijden or Royston Drenthe. I don't feel he's that type of character. But the thing that I'm sticking in my mind with it all, well, I do have some doubts, is that he could have just sat there at Man City getting his 300k a week and just being a, you know, almost like the outfield player version of Scott Carson. He could have stayed there and done that. Other thing as well, I think that there are clubs that would have come in for him who wouldn't have necessarily used him as a starting player. So, for instance, when he comes to us, he's going to be a starting 11, isn't he? Let's have no issues with that. But I think apparently his Spurs were in for him. I couldn't see him starting at Spurs immediately.
I thought Spurs maybe because Maddison's injured. He's out for a long time, isn't he? So I thought maybe
it might be because of that role he plays. I'm staggered that Aston Villa haven't come in for him. I would have thought that was the most natural thing for them to do. They might have come in, they might not have come in, but for him to in inverted commas choose Everton, because he'll have had more suitors. I have no doubt about that. I mean, he's a top class player. I'm going as far as saying he's a world class player, but the familiar thing that I come to, Les, when it gets to this stage, is he good enough to play for Everton? The undoubted question is yes. Will he be part of Everton's starting 11? Yes. Do we have anything better than him to play in the position he'll come in and play? That's dependent on where he's going to play. People are saying Dye's better than him. I probably agree with that. But I don't want to lean towards people who think, oh, he's going to be like maybe a Dele Alli or somebody who's basically just turned up for their last sort of few quid before they head into the sunset, millionaires, and go and do what they want with the rest of their lives. I don't think he's that kind of player. Look, it is a difficult one, like you say initially there, because you wouldn't be guilty of saying that he doesn't look like he takes himself or football all as much serious as we want it to, or as other clubs would want it to. Does he fit in the David Moyes mould? No. I think we have to be pretty honest about that. But I think I won't go as far as saying I feel like I'm sitting on the fence here, which I guess I sort of am. But less of the two evils is Everton having him rather than not, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think if he turns up, like I said, I think the main thing that's trying to stick with my mind is he's coming to play football. He's coming to be better than what he has been, being a bit part player at the very most with City. Because I know when Doku went there was a bit of a chance for him getting a game. So when he's going to come to us, he's going to play, and he's got to prove himself if he wants to be serious about getting games for England as well. I think that's a big part of him wanting to come to Everton and play well. So all in all, I'm delighted we're getting him. Really, I know it's very easy, isn't it, for all of us, and particularly younger fans, to think Jack Grealish, wow, he's a top class player, just his name sort of thing. A bit like Dele Alli. But I think there's a lot behind him coming, and he's got a manager who, if he does sort of need sorting out, which I don't particularly think he does, Les. I mean, I don't know what your view is on that, where the first thing I see today is a video of him getting on the lash. But the ironic thing in all that was he was getting on the lash when City had gone and won things.
Well, yeah, this is it, isn't it? You know, it's not like, I don't think it's, you know, he likes a bevy. There are a lot of footballers that like a bevy, and down the years, a lot of footballers have. But it's when it keeps them out of the team. It's when it affects their playing ability, or, do you know what I mean, or the fitness. And I don't think it has with him. He just likes to celebrate like winning stuff, which is fair enough. So I don't think that side of him's a problem, because he's just like, he's a 29-year-old fella with a lot of money. You know, that's the thing about footballers, isn't it? You know, the young fellas with lots of money. So you're gonna go out and get on the ale if that's your thing.
I was just going to say though, Les, sorry to interrupt you. Really sorry to interrupt you, but with that there, the one thing that I didn't put in is probably key to what you're going to say now. You've never heard much trouble from Pep Guardiola about him.
No, exactly.
You've not heard anything about him turning up to training late, turning up to training pissed. All of these sorts of things, the players who are related to that sort of behaviour. Sounded like his head teacher there, you know, but you get what I mean. It's not like you hear anything. It's like us going on the last of a weekend and then going back to work on a Monday.
Yeah,
you still go in and do your job. You're not turning up pissed, hopefully. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's an important point as well. He doesn't seem like a disruptive influence. He just seems like a genuinely nice fella, who, like, everyone in the changes buzzes off. Good fella to have around. You know, notwithstanding a really good footballer as well. My only reservations are, he's another player without any pace, but hopefully he can make up in other departments. You know, his ball playing ability, his ability to keep possession, his wages is the sticking point for me. Now, I know we've been here before with, like, it's not our money, but the talk is that City want us to pay 250 grand a week. Now, if he's earning 100 grand a week more than our top earner, that kind of blows your wage structure to bits a bit. And I don't think Everton are in a position to start offering anyone that sort of money. So that's my only concern, that it could cause a little bit of an unsettling thing in the changing room, that, especially if he doesn't come in and perform straight away. Do you know what I mean? If he doesn't, like, hit the ground running, he's integral to the squad, he's earning more than anyone. If he's not doing it on the pitch, that's when you get a little bit of things behind the scenes where players aren't happy. And it's not something we've really had to contend with, because everyone's on. It's been a pretty solid wage structure, hasn't it? And, you know, we've had some big earners who haven't been doing it for us, and we've sold them eventually, Sandro. But yeah, that's my only concern. But I think, like you say, we'll be a better team with him in. And then if that front three, let's say Ndiaye goes on the right, he goes down the middle, Dewsbury Hall goes on the left, suddenly that whole attack is transformed, isn't it? Then you've got Alcaraz to come in, you've got McNeil to come in. That whole front line's like really, really different. Then I thought we'll go into Thierry Barry in a minute to talk about the weekend's game, but I thought he looked really good up front. Not many chances again, but I think his willingness to get out wide, take the ball down from high or whatever, and cut into. I thought he looked really good. So there's a lot more dimension to that attack then, which is exactly what this team needs. And just quickly before we move on, Mick Greenall put one of those spider diagrams up that I never quite understand. But basically,
you know, me with them, Les, when you used to play Pro Evo, they usually do it on Pro Evo back in the day.
I just never understood them.
Yeah.
So he's basically taking the stats from, like, his last. As he put it, here's Grealish the last time he was a mid-table side talisman. So this would have been his last season at Villa, which is probably a good comparison, a better comparison than Man City. And his stats, they're all like in the high numbers. So, like, 99 shot creation, goal creating, assists, that are all right up there. Key passes into the penalty area, progressive passes, touches in the final third. All the stats are really high. And that's probably in a very similar team. Well, I think Villa were probably a bit worse than we were. So, you know, it's not like he's just a superstar player who's always played with superstar players. He can do it with players who aren't up to his standard, really, can't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why he's getting a £100 million move to Manchester City in the first place. He's shown things that he can do on a weaker squad. which should bode well for us because he's used to being in and amongst players that aren't as good as elite level. That's obviously what we're going to strive to be doing. And this is the other thing. I mean, you spoke a lot about the wage structure that the club has had. What the counter argument I'd make on that though, Les, is how do Everton get better? You can't keep a wage. Unfortunately, these days you can't keep a wage structure at a relative minimum, mid-table Premier League, maybe lower Premier League side, and then think that you're going to kick on anymore. It's just the way it works now, which is, and again, I hate saying it. I feel it just sounds like a cop out when you do have to say it. But in general, I think it reflects where most clubs are, and obviously not specifically. But if you've got and obviously that's when clubs go into the shit, is when you are paying that and you're not getting anywhere with it. But I guess we've done that to an extent in the Mashiri era. If you like, you're just paying silly money for players and they're essentially mid-table players. I mean, I go back to what I always said. It tends that we went to sign the best players of the worst sides, and you're paying big money for them. You think of the Sigurdsson days, players like that who came in, they're like, really good for Swansea, but come to us and you bang average and we're paying you silly money. It's different with Jack Grealish because he's coming from the best club in the land, or they have been the best club in the land for the entirety of time that he's been there. For him to take a step down in regards to the team that he's playing for, I think he should have that hunger to try and kick himself back to it. Look, it's a loan. It's a lot of money to pay for the loan, but it could be such a big thing for Everton, this, because you've got a player who's an England international. You've got a lad who's. It doesn't come often that you've got a player of that ability to be available. And he's in a look. Let's face it. If you were to ask him behind closed doors, do you want to end up at Everton Football Club? No. Do you want to be a regular at Manchester City? Yes. If you want to be a regular at Manchester City, that should be straight into Everton's positives that they want from a player. Because if you want to be playing for the side like that, you'd have to go and do it better. You have to go and play as well as that at a club that you're going to be going on loan to. So if I'm Jack Grealish and I think, well, yeah, I'll sign for Everton. I want to go there perhaps because it keep my family in the north and all that sort of thing. I think, yeah, okay, I'm going to go to Everton. And in my mindset, if I was him and I'm not an Evertonian, I'm going to Everton to prove myself. Have a really good season or two, however it works out to be. And then, look, like I say, he'll be in his early 30s when he goes back or when he finishes his time with us. And you're thinking, do you know what? I can still do it at an elite level. I've just gone and proved it in the Premier League with a side that is considerably, at this moment in time, weaker than the one I've been at that's won multiple Premier League titles and the Champions League.
Yeah, that's it. It's often said, and I know Matt always says this every summer about players we sign. It's like we need to sign players that are hungry for it, not players that are past it. He could kind of fall into both categories there. Not saying he's past it, but he's getting to that stage where he needs something to happen now, doesn't he? Because once you enter your 30s, you can then just drift into becoming a journeyman. So you'd like to think that this move could be great for him and us. And if he does come to us and it works, Everton could play this really clever and end up getting him on a free. This is quite ambitious, but I think he's got 2 years left on his deal. Now, if he comes to Everton, absolutely loves it and rips it up, there's a thing there where we could sign him with 1 year left on his deal. Now, I'm sure Man City would want a lot of money, but we've seen it before, haven't we, where we could get him in. I think we did it with Gareth Barry, I think. Got second season loan and then got him for free. So that'd be nice if we could do that. But I mean, that's being like madly optimistic, but it's a possibility. But I think, for what he needs as a player and for what we need as a club, it should and could be perfect. Obviously, it never pans out always as you want it. But I think we'd be better with him than without him, and I think he'd be better at us than at Man City.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's the sort of the bottom line that I feel with it as well. I mean, you have to pay money. I mean, it's interesting these days, isn't it? There's a real paradigm between everything with this because people are like, oh, do you know what? I want to go and sign a top class player. Well, you're going to be paying X amount for him. Oh no, I don't want that player. The game doesn't work like we've all done it. I've done it, but today's game, the way it is, you look at the amounts of money you have to go and spend on a good player, not a top class player, a good player. It's astronomical fee. But also, I'd add to that, Les, is we've got new owners here who are willing to put money in their pocket for us to go and grow and us to go and be a better club than what we have been. If they're willing to go and do it, the only issue I'd have, the only caveat to all of it is if they were sat there and saying to David Moyes, look, you've got this budget on wages. If you go and buy Jack Grealish or you're going to Jack Grealish and you're paying for his wages, then that's taking a large chunk of what we'd up wages with when you want to go and try to play players. And it's the thing that people take out of their minds when you go and buy players for whatever price, you have to put the wages on that as well. So I think it plays, like you said, I think it plays in a decent hand for us, or it gives us the opportunity to a decent hand that we're not paying a fee to buy the lad. And by the time if he does do that, we get to a point where it's going to be a lot cheaper, and it's been more difficult for City to sell him in a heavy amount of money when he's only got a year left in his contract or 2 years.
Yeah, I think the thing for me regarding wages, just to pick up on that finally, it's quite scary, isn't it? You talked about Sigurdsson and we talked about Sandro before. Like, we were throwing about 125 grand a week at them, and that was like top money at the time.
9 years ago.
Yeah, and now you're looking at like teams, like top teams, think nothing are paying 350 grand a week.
No.
So it's like we're sort of, like you say, if you want to get up to that level, you are at some stage going to have to start paying those wages. Not now for us, but that's the scary thing for me.
Well, he's that kind of player that's at that level, though, Les. I mean,
oh yeah, he is.
We were looking at. I think it's quite funny because if you look at it in the flip of the coin, you can look at this and think, well, we've gone and bought a player here that is too good for what we have right now. So he could come to Everton and he could be, this stage right now, let's hope it's not that way, but he's at a higher level of a performer at Premier League standards than most of ours are. I'll have people arguing to me about that, thinking of others, but I'm talking about that particular attacking position that we've gone and got him. He's played at a much higher level than the players he'll be playing in and amongst. So that's why you're paying look at it's common sense in it. That's why you're paying more money wages for him to come and do that. Where I think then you're looking at everybody else, and what it should do and what I'd like it to do is everybody else ups their game to go to the level he's at.
Yeah.
Rather than him having to step down to play in and amongst our players who can compete with what he was able to do at Manchester City. Like you said, I think Aston Villa is a really good point to make about what he was doing there and why City came in for him. He can replicate that 6 years later than when he left Villa to go to Manchester City. The lad's got the ability to do so. It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, it just put me in mind of when Peter Beardsley joined Everton from Liverpool. If he's anywhere near as good as Beardsley was, we are onto an absolute winner. Oh God, yeah. Which we need to be, really, because if you look at the Roma game, I thought we did all right. I thought there were like some encouraging signs in that game. But once again, the same old issue sort of reared the head. I think we sort of died after about 50 minutes. When Dewsbury Hall went off, I thought he made a really good debut. We just didn't look the same. Same when Garner went off. It just for me, once again, showed that we're not up to speed attacking wise because we're not creating enough good chances. I think Alcaraz had one good header. And Dye was put through by Barry really well in the second half. I think that was the last decent chance we had. And in the end, I think Roma were just quite comfortable, really, finishing the game. We're good for the win. Obviously, they're a much better side than we are. They're going to be challenging the top spots in the Italian league next year, I would imagine. So, it wasn't an easy game to play. And I think we held a good account of ourselves. It's just that thing we've been saying all summer, isn't it? There's just nothing really below that first 11, maybe 12 players now.
Yeah, and I feel that, look, we're a week before the season starts, so a lot of it, to me, was alarming. Well, we haven't seen what Leeds are like. I know I've been reading a lot of stuff with Leeds, and they think they're nowhere near ready for the new campaign in terms of players they need in. And obviously, they're the championship side that's come up. We should be able to take advantage of that. Excuse me, but with ourselves playing like we have in pre-season, I mean, it depends if you're making much of it or not. Speaking to Rob Vera, he wasn't too upset with how we were over in America. Things got gradually better, I suppose, in certain aspects of the side. That against Roma, I mean, so some of the things you hear are brilliant. I will go on to other things, but one of the best was the pitch is too big. I love that. And then I think I can't remember someone who was saying, "Oh, it's because the rugby's going to be there. The pitch is so big." And I was like, "Well, yeah, the markings of the pitch can go to whatever side you want them to. It doesn't matter if it was in the middle of Stanley Park. The football pitch is still the same size you want." And then people are saying, "Oh, does it have to be a specific side?" There's limitations, isn't there?
Boundaries, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I found that quite funny. I suppose it's because like the pitch we've got here of it, it's so vast, isn't it? That the pitch probably it could be the same size as it was at Goodison. It still look massively bigger, given the size of it. But going on to what you said player wise, yeah, I thought Barry did look quite sharp. Loved to get involved. Liked going down the channels as well.
Yeah, Moyes will love that, won't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. He'll hold the ball up. He's quick as well. The concern I had with him was, is he going to be like really similar to what Beto is? And there are certain aspects of his game where I've thought, you know what, it looks like we've got the same player times two here. Anything about it, and you'll know this, I think we've spoken about it in the past, when you're playing with one striker and they decide to move out to the channels, you've got no one in the middle to take the ball off them. And I think that's, I don't know if that's something you look at with everybody else involved there. I'd like to think Moyes is trying to get a certain amount of goals off the three that I'd like to think go behind.
Yeah.
Whether we're playing Barry or Beto at the front there. But yeah, it was promising stuff that he was. I think our new midfield looked decent, looked effective. James Garner's still a bit of a concern, isn't he? But I don't suppose he has to start, does he? Now we've got Dewsbury Hall coming in.
I don't know. I don't know if it depends how he plays it, doesn't it? I suppose it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, I would imagine. So
is Dewsbury Hall? Would you play? You wouldn't play Dewsbury Hall as a
he seemed to be box to box at the weekend. Didn't he? He was everywhere.
Yeah.
So you could do that with Garner sort of in a holding role. I don't know. I'm not sure how he's going to play. Like I said earlier, he could actually stick him out on the wing and stick and die on the right now. If we do get Grealish down the middle, and that leaves sort of Alcaraz sort of coming in off the bench. I thought he did well as well, Alcaraz. I think he's got better as the preseason's gone on. And yeah, do you know what?
He's done it like quietly, come about his business a little bit. I mean, we're talking more about players that have looked crap and players that have looked half decent, when he's just being a consistent model in the middle of it. Where I mean, he just feels like he's really comfortable at us now. When last season he's battling to get a contract, he's battling to stay and find a home where he can play. Now it just feels like he has that natural ability that you just put him on the team sheet and don't think twice about him. Yeah,
and it was interesting that the one chance he did get was that sort of ghosting into the box header, like he scored against Newcastle. So it looks like that could be a big part of his game, which is something we need, because, like you said, when you're playing with one striker, you do need that three behind to operate as a unit and fill in. If that striker does pull out wide, someone drops into him. So you'd like to think that's all going on the training ground. Just in terms of Leeds, quickly, they played three pre-season games and drawn them all. 0-0 with Man United, 1-1 with Villarreal, and 1-1 with Milan. So
wow, they sound world class. Those friendlies.
There you go. So I'm going to stick with the 2-2 prediction for next Monday. Actually, should we dip into that before we go on to the new ground, because this will be the last show before the season kicks off.
It will, yeah.
How are you feeling about it?
Not confident. Not confident.
Shed all along, haven't you? It's a bit of a stinker to have.
Yeah, I think it's a horrible first game to have on a Monday night. It's going to be lively there, to say the very least.
Yeah.
You know what Leeds are like anyway, going to play them away. It's a bit of a nightmare going away to Leeds. A team that's always belonged to the Premier League, as far as I'm concerned. They've always seemed like one of the big 20. Probably in amongst the big 10, aren't they, Leeds, given the history they've got and the size of the club. To be going there on a Monday night, first weekend of the season, yeah, that's not one I'd be picking myself if we had to go away on the opening game. And I feel that is going to have a big impact, regardless of how good both teams are, and how well they can play here. I just don't want us to be overawed by starting the season against the side that are going to be flying. I'd take a draw right now. If you'd offer me 0-0, 1-1, I'd take it. And I think that's a decent springboard to begin the season. Look, you're going to get 3 points, then you're flying going into the Brighton game.
Yeah.
Just long as you don't lose there, I'm more than comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it's a bad time to play a promoted team, as we found out over the years, where we've sort of got the promoted team, I think 4 seasons running, due to all most of the time. Our record at Leeds is pretty bad over the years. It's notoriously bad, actually. I don't think we won there for 50 years until Rooney scored that goal. Yeah, I think it was about 50 years we haven't won there. Since then, we've only played about 5 times, bad luck for 6 times. We've only lost once in the last 5 since that Rooney goal. Drawn 3, won 1. So recent record isn't bad.
Yeah, that Calvert-Lewin goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2-2 with Damari Gray as well.
Yeah.
So yes, our recent record isn't that bad, and you kind of think, newly promoted club coming up. We finished the season pretty strongly. Pre-season's not been great, but we should go into it with some confidence. That they're not going to roll us over, because you got to think about it, they're not that good, or they shouldn't be that good. We should have enough to at least get a point there, which will set us up nicely, like you say, Dave, for Brighton, when hopefully some of those teething problems from the weekend at New Ground will be sorted out. You mentioned the pitch. Some of the wildest ones I had. Someone on Twitter was complaining that there's no ceilings in the new ground. So, it's got all the exposed pipes and lights.
Okay.
Any venue you go into now. God help this fella if he goes down the Baltic Market and goes into a venue there. It's just like anywhere, isn't it now? It's all quite industrial and exposed. It's just the way things are built. But yeah, it was quite funny. I don't know if he's taking the piss, but he was like, yeah, I'm sure they had ceilings at Goodison. So there's no ceilings in the new ground.
Did they have ceilings at Goodison? I don't know. Did they have ceilings?
The Park End didn't. The Park End was just like a breeze block and metal thing.
You're talking about inside? Or
inside, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say the seats are, because it just reminds me of when that lad, when we beat Palace to stay up, and he's swinging off one of the bars. It's one of the best videos ever. I'm thinking there's definitely no ceiling there if you're able to do that.
That was incredible. How we got up there and did that, I don't know.
I know.
Another wild one was people moaning about the red Budweiser advert going around the ground. It's it's their brand colours, and they're like the beer partner for the ground. It's they could change it to blue, I suppose. But
it's that Chang or Carlin.
Yeah.
What do you want to pick? You know what I mean?
It feels a bit mad that people are kicking off about that. Apparently there's some queuing issues outside the ground as well. Like I said, this is why they have these test events. This is why they wanted a sellout for the final test event to go through all this. So hopefully they line that out before the kickoff. But I think one of the issues there was people were being told to go into certain turnstiles. So at Goodison you had you can go turnstile 76 to 68 or something like that. You want a selection of turnstiles. I don't know if here, check my season tickets. I don't know if they've just got basically you directed towards one turnstile.
I think if I remember the
so we're entrance 9. So we don't know how many turnstiles are on that.
But we're obviously on the same one, so
yeah.
But there are a couple. I think I remember the first test you did get sort of edged towards a certain one of them. Because at Goodison, it was you just queued up and then went to either rather than being told which one to go to. Where I had it on main stand, there were 3 actually. The standard 2 that are next to each other, really skinny ones next to each other, and then one on its own at the side. But that, teething problems. It's top. I think the main complaint about it though, Les, is it's top of the list. It's fan safety. Being able to get that. Just heaven forbid. I always get paranoid about it when I go to the gym. The metal turn around. I did when we went to Brighton.
Oh yeah.
The same as what we've got, and I'm if that stops, and I can't move it, I'd start crying and everything. Me, do you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure there's some sort of mechanism to get you out safely, but I just think of that sort of thing. But yeah, that's modern day, isn't it? The way in which they do that is getting in ground. So yeah, I suppose queuing. They've got a fortnight to fix these, I suppose. So like you say, test events, last one, full capacity. Then if we're talking about this as a big problem, then it could have been a lot worse, couldn't it?
Well, yeah, because one thing I've not heard is everyone's tickets seem to have worked fine. Now, I remember when Everton brought in the digital ticket at Goodison, there was murder the first game, wasn't there? I think it's just like things weren't working and stuff. So it sounds like they've got that bit spot on at least. So at least
Is
everyone
anybody?
can get
I was
in.
gonna. Sorry again, Les. I've done this a couple of times.
No, it's all right.
With the tickets, I know you basically have to beg in order to get a card version. I'd love to know if any of our listeners have been given a card yet, or it comes for the start of the season, because I imagine it'd be too early to get it before the Roma game.
Yeah.
But what contact have people had with the club and all that sort of thing? What have they had to pay for it? Are there any sort of specifics you've had to give to get a card? Because obviously it's the tout issues and all that I think is at the centre of why they had to do this sort of thing. Be interesting how that breaks as we go on to the new season.
Yeah, and I'd like to hear about that as well, because it's really not sitting well with me not having a physical card. I don't like it. It's the first time I've never had one, and I'm not into it. That's all.
What gets me with it though is that if it's done with the intent of preventing touts, okay, I think that should be front and centre to issues with people going to the game. Nobody wants it. I was asking that question the other day for work on my Twitter, who's been done by a scam for getting tickets for a game. And I know these third party ones, which we've spoken about quite a lot, haven't we, with Roger, the things that essentially make clubs more aware of this, make clubs apply more of security. But I don't know how a card does that, because it's not like if you're moving it on to somebody, you've agreed with them to take that. It's not that's anything that can get you in effectively, not something that's digital. That card, if that card's the only thing that can get you in, then I don't see what the issue is with that.
Yeah, no, I think it's just a line from the club, isn't it? Because they want everyone to sign up for the membership, which we've spoken about at length on this podcast, and I don't think any of us are particular fans of people having to pay £60 a season to enter a ballot for tickets.
No,
well, that's all it is, isn't it? If you've got a card, you can just give it to your mate and they can go in on it, and no one asks any questions. I suppose you can. I could probably send the email to someone I know, and they can download my season tickets on their phone. I'm sure you could do that, but
we were talking about burner phones and all that, weren't we?
Yeah, I've heard all sorts of stories about like clubs that already do this. Like there's people walk into pubs like 20 minutes before kickoff with about 10 phones on them, 10 burner phones, asking if anyone wants to buy any spares. Crazy.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, mate. You can find a burner phone wherever you want now. Liverpool, it's not a problem. It won't be to go to football matches, but you can find a burner phone wherever you like.
It sounds like something off the wire.
Yeah, they definitely have wires to deal with as well.
Oh God, that's just put me in mind of something that happened in the Denby last year. So I was in the Denby with Jay, and we just stood there having a drink. Some fella just walked up to me, some cockney, like, "Don't know where I could get any coke from, do you, mate? You got to get any coke from?" So I'm like, "Sorry, mate, no, I'm just having a drink with my son. I've got no idea." I said, "Why has he come up to me of all the people in the pub asking me if I can like deal him?" And I looked at myself.
You do look like a dealer when you've got your bucket hat on.
I had a bucket hat on, a fleece, a pair of cargo pants, a bag, and 2 phones. I had 2 phones on me as well. So I just looked at myself and thought, yeah, I can kind of see why I did that. So yeah, I won't be wearing that rig onto the game again.
Did you sort them out though?
Yeah, pass them on.
You don't do that sort of thing your side of the river, do they?
No, they come over here for it. One of the other things that happened at the weekend as well, I didn't like the sound of this, not letting people in with their own food and drink. Now, I understand that you've got a lot of food and drink on sale and they want to make a lot of money off that. But, I mean, we've always, since we started going with the kids, we've always taken food in. So we used to take a little pack lunch in for the kids when they were tiny. Or more recently, we'd like get a load of stuff from Greg's, take that in with us, eat that, before the game or at half time. Or at the very least, we walk in with our sort of chips and curry from the chippy down the road. Seems like they're not going to let you do that. And it looks like they were taking water off people and everything, which I know that's the norm at like a venue, at a big entertainment venue, which is essentially what a football ground is, isn't it? But it just feels like that's not what you do at a football ground for me. And that doesn't sit right with me at all.
No, it's not. And it doesn't fit in the way the principles of Everton Football Club are meant to be. And I know, as people still bang on about being people's club stuff and all that, but this is just like decent people's club. Do you know what I mean? The common sense club, really, because I know we understand the revenue, we understand prices. We've covered all the bases with this, what things are going to cost. And obviously that's the first thing there's that domino effect for not being able to take anything in of your own. So in that regard, I feel as if it should be, particularly kids. I mean, come on, you know, they're not going in there and they're going to cost you. Everton are going to be not being able to earn as much money as they want to, with kids going in there with a little packed lunch or a little bowl to yours and pack.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Colour the fruit juice off them?
Well, this is the other thing I was going to say. I think it'd be quite funny, hopefully not serious, is that the steward has to say to your kids, give me that now, give me that banana. It's like they need to have a balaclava on to take the packed lunch off some kids. Do you know what I mean? And the thing that gets me is, but the one thing I'd emphasise is don't ever blame the steward, because clearly a steward is not going to be that much of a bell end of a human being to say, give me that now. In fact, most, I would imagine, the decent ones, which I'm sure most of them are, would say, go ahead, mate, just go in. Do you know what I mean? Because they're not going to have it like on show or anything like that, be in a bag or something. Which will have been, that sort of thing will have been checked before you get towards even going through to the turnstile. So don't blame a steward, because quite clearly they've been told that they're required to do that as part of their job.
Yeah, they're not just going to be doing it for a laugh, are they?
No.
And all the stewards at Goodison were great. I've got to miss the fellow who was on our turnstile, actually. He was dead funny.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories. Peter McFarlane was saying that they found the steward that was with them at Goodison. It's nice to hear that.
Yeah,
that they've taken as much as they can over from Goodison, and the people who are working there are there now as well. I think that feels pretty homely, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's good. I tell you what as well, I'm looking forward to now. I'm looking forward to seeing who's sitting around us, because we found out yesterday, didn't we, that Ian Toppymod is sat like 7 seats down from us in our row, which is mental. Just mad that. So like we could get there and could like know loads of people, which would be lovely.
Yeah, I've never thought about this up until you get close to going to the first game, thinking, no, I'm not sitting by a bell end. Do you know what I mean?
People might look at us, Dave, and say, "Oh, fuck's sake,
those blue room twats, what are they doing sitting there?" Don't want any. I hope people will come up if you do recognise and go, really like your podcast. But actually, I probably think, you know what, I appreciate the honesty if you come up and thinking they say to us, "Oh, you know, that's crap, that I don't listen to it." Like, fair enough, mate, for coming up and telling us. Do you know what I mean?
but you don't have to. Don't feel compelled to come up and tell us if you think we're not.
In fact, we'll just say that. Don't talk to us if there's any issues.
Yeah. Speak to Matt about that.
Yeah.
One final thing from me: prices. So I thought it was dead funny the way the club, after a little bit of backlash last week, knocked the price of a pint down by 25p. I thought that was incredible. So it was £7 in the week, and then when people got the ground, it was £6.75. Which, do you know what? Like, psychologically, that does make a bit of difference. £6.75 does sound a lot cheaper than £7, but it's probably the absolute minimum they could have knocked it down, which I thought was dead funny. The other side of it was less than £3 on the price of a donut. So at the test event, those toffee donuts were £3.50. On Saturday, there was £6.50. I want to know who's made that decision, how and why they've come to that, because that's insane.
£3 more?
It was £3.50 at the test event, the donuts.
And now
it's in itself, it's quite a lot for a donut, and now it's £6.50 for a donut.
Tell you what, mate, if I was going in with someone with a packed lunch, I'd be sticking in 5 that you get from Sayers for £2.
Oh, God, yeah. Couple of caramel donuts from Sayers.
Just from blue. Just because it's blue.
Yeah, I mean, it does look quite fancy, but bloody hell, £6.50.
I mean, I get one for my birthday, but I wouldn't be buying one myself, to be honest.
There you go. For your birthday, Dave, you'll be sat in your Seat Unique suit. Seat Unique seat. With a toffee donut, living like a king.
So what was it like? I mean, I want to hear more about what was the food vendor places outside.
I didn't say anything about that. The inside was very mixed, wasn't it? Because I saw a lot of people saying it was fine, got drinks dead quick. I think Ian was saying that there was no segregation between people getting food and getting drink.
Okay.
So, because remember at Goodison, you'd have like a drinks bar where you'd go up and you could just get drinks from that one, and the food was elsewhere. I think this one, because it's set out quite differently, and it's like if you go to the Echo, it's a similar setup to that where you just got a massive long counter where you can get food and drink. And then there is, I know in our stand, the South stand up, there's a big bar, isn't there? Just a massive bar that runs the length of it, I think. But yeah, I think some people were saying it was terrible. They run out of food. They were queuing for half an hour and stuff like that. Other people said it was sound. So again, it's teething problems, isn't it? This is the sort of thing they will get the feedback on. And this is where people do need to like tag the fan services and the club and say, look, this was shite. This needs to be improved. Because if you don't tell them, they won't know. It's not moaning. It's just like saying it as it is, really, and telling them what they need to know to change it. So I'm hoping it's going to be sorted out for Brighton.
Yeah, I don't look again against Brighton. I don't think things are going to be perfect either. I mean, there'll be things that they need to learn, particularly Premier League restrictions and things like that. I'm sure a lot of that will come into play in and around the ground that we didn't even know about. I feel as if the club, I think that the communication with the club maybe needs to be a little bit more, needs a little bit more of a review of things that we all know publicly that they're releasing a statement or sending everybody an email about when they've made complaints or when they've given any sort of review of things, then they do take them on board. The one video I saw was you buy your pint. I might be wrong here. You can buy your pint on your phone, and then you scan it, and you can get through a barrier, and there's just a load of pints there, and you just grab one. And not the most healthiest way of getting a pint, I must add.
How long's it been sat there as well?
Well, there's that, and what else is in it when you've got your burner car, when you've got your burner phone as well.
Yeah,
there's something hidden underneath each pint.
Yeah, it's got a lot of potential, hasn't it? Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, one final thing. I probably should have written all this down in some sort of send up, some sort of list, but it's as it's coming to me now. Mosey said an interesting thing, which has been on my mind actually, leading up to the whole new move to the stadium, and it's about how other teams might enjoy playing at the new ground in a way that no one enjoyed playing at Goodison. Now, it's a new ground. It's going to take time for us to sort of make our home, make our own. And that is where it probably will be a bit tough to start off with, because it'll be like an away game for everyone, the home team included, us as fans included. But it does worry me a bit like that these teams will turn up. I'll be like, oh, yeah, it's bloody great here, and can't wait to get out and start playing in that stadium.
Yeah, I think that's probably the equivalent of when a young England player gets their debut at Wembley. I think if you're on a away side, you go there and like looking into relish the situation. Not only coming in, I'd like to still think as Everton is a bit of a coup if you're able to go and beat Everton at Goodison. I think it'll be even more so here. You're making history effectively, aren't you, for your club? If you go and win it at Everton's new ground, you're the first time that you scored a goal, being the first time your club's been to play against them. I think if I was an away player, it'd be one of the things that I'd be looking at when the fixtures came out, thinking, wow, yeah, looking forward to that one. Not just the main sort of derbies and, big Champions League like matches. If you're going to where we are and we're still learning it as well, it's exactly the same as we went to Spurs, I think, Les.
Yeah.
That feeling, it was amazing. Going to Spurs, and such a good day out, regardless of the result. I know we got a 2-2 draw, but if we come away from there and we got beat, because it was a dead rubber anyway, the last game of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was more like looking at that stadium, thinking, well, ours has got a few tips from this. The way ours is going to be, can't wait to see what it's like. The players felt exactly the same going to that ground. And look, if you ask players, they do have specifically stadiums that they prefer to go and play at, and I think ours will be near the top of the list when they turn up. So that's another thing that we have to. Mosey's exactly right there.
Yeah,
and then you add to that the fact that we really need to create our own atmosphere, because a lot of criticism was that like everybody got on the feet and sung and was made up when Z-Cars came on, but then it was like flat. And my response to that was then it was similar to the first two test events that I was at, just simply looking around, just taking everything, because I was in awe of everything that was there. And then a lot of fans got off for after the Legends game, was it, or before the Legends game? A lot had left.
Yeah.
I don't blame them for that. I mean, I got off at half time when the 25k was there, the second test event. I remember getting off quite early because
that was only on for an hour as well. That was only on for an hour as well. He kicked us out on 60, didn't he?
Maybe I did leave on time. You would know all these things naturally, wouldn't you? You know.
Oh, mate, that's why we've got seats right by an exit, so we can just flounce when we need to.
That's it.
That's what it's all about. It's funny though that you say like a lot of teams and fans will like this will probably be in amongst the top grounds they want to come and stay and play at. Goodison would have been bottom of most people's lists, I think, in terms not so much in terms of fans, particularly when it was made clear that we were leaving, because suddenly it took on a new sort of poignancy. Goodison, didn't it? Because it was like a proper old stadium and one of the remaining few in the country, like top level ones. But no players enjoyed it, did they? Even the Everton players half the time. So that is something to contend with, isn't it?
Or us. But the overwhelming feeling from that was the other reason why clubs didn't like coming to Goodison was because playing Everton at Goodison, as much as people will take the piss out of it, given how crap we've been for many years, pretty daunting place to go to. How many different former players, pundits, commentators all say that Goodison is one of the best and most atmospheric sort of place you go to. You know, and the old lady rocks and all that when we score. That sort of thing is why players didn't like to go to Southern. I would think, obviously, because I'm not a footballer, but I would think that is above everything else. It's like, oh no, can't be arsed going there. You're just going to have fans on our toes, sort of screaming at us. It feels like a tight and compact sort of place. This has got to be like that. We've got to turn. I'm still calling it. We're going to turn Bramley Moor. Probably get fined for saying Bramley Moor rather than Hill Dickinson. All right, you can't say the Hill Dickinson either, can you?
Strongly worded email from the club, mate.
Yeah. Sue me for that, you bastards. But when that stadium, in all seriousness, has got to be Goodison 2.0 for us as fans to get it like it was when players didn't like coming to Goodison. I think Gary Neville did a bit of a piece on this.
Yeah, he did. He always used to say that he hated it.
Rio Ferdinand was speaking about it as well for TNT. He's quite down my list as pundits, and he's generally a bit crap. But his point about coming to Goodison was spot on, saying we hated it. We absolutely despised coming there. I think he said as much as Anfield. He said because the atmosphere and the way the Scousers are all over you, that place is just like it's just like a vacuum. It's so tight and all that. So I mean, we've got to be able to develop that, albeit in a very different way.
Yeah, you've only got to look at that sort of the last 10 years ago. There's been a lot of very, very good Liverpool teams came to us, and a lot of decent Man United teams came to us. Now we turned United over a few times, and Liverpool I think won twice in 10 years. So that also shows you how difficult a place it was. Even though we could then go and get beat by Southampton or a relegated team the week after.
That'd be why.
On its day, it was a horrible place. What we need then is bring on the Bramley Moor bastards and make Hill Dickinson horrible. That's all I'm saying.
You got both sayings into one sentence there, mate. You get bonus points for that.
And if anyone listened to me Seat Unique advert before the show, I get it in there as well. Doesn't write itself, this stuff,
It literally does write itself, though, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. I just want to finish on a slightly, potentially more serious point. It seemed there was. I'm not going to comment on it too much because it is a pretty sensitive subject, and the club haven't responded, so I don't know what happened. But a woman got turned away wearing a Palestine football top at the weekend. Anybody who follows me on Twitter will know my thoughts on this, and I think the club were very much in the wrong for doing that. I mean, just notwithstanding the political thing about it and the comparisons with Ukraine and the fact that we flew Ukraine flags, there's no difference in the two. Well, there's a difference, but politically, it's very, very similar, just two sides of the spectrum. So I don't think she should have got turned away for that. I know a lot of people say keep politics out of football. I don't think you can. I think, it's a massive part of society. It's a massive part of like a lot of people's lives, and it inevitably becomes politicised. One thing I'll throw in to support that is food banks of football grounds. Having food banks of football grounds is a political problem. We have food banks because of political choices. So, I think we should have food banks of football grounds in as much as the fact that there are food banks in existence. There shouldn't be food banks in existence, but while there are, having them at football grounds is a great idea. And that is a political thing of football. So I don't think you can separate the two. And just finally, on getting turned away for wearing something, I don't agree with that either. I think you should be able to wear whatever you like to the game, unless it's a rival team shirt and you go in as the home end in a Liverpool top, something like that could cause like antagonism, and it's clearly designed to do that. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to go and wear whatever you like, and I just don't think it was right that she was turned away like that. Obviously, like I say, I'm not going to go more into it because the club haven't commented, so we don't know exactly why. But it was a woman with her 2 young kids getting turned away, which makes it somehow even worse for me. It just seems pretty pathetic. I don't know what you think, Dave, or if you want to comment on it. I just wanted to say that at the end.
No, I think it's important what you said there, and yeah, okay, we look for what the club are going to go back and say, but I think it's disgraceful that somebody's been turned away for that. And I feel, going back to what you said about the food banks, and I think it's a time to say out the incredible work Dave Kelly's done with everybody who works with them every single time, every single game. Massive advocate for that. But yeah, you're right. I think football, sport in general, and politics is always going to be entwined. It's impossible to separate the two, particularly being the city we're from, particularly being the football club we are. You think about the political hatred towards our city, towards our people. I don't have to go down the line of history with, you look at Hillsborough, you look at how things have been thrown towards our city, which are done so on a daily basis in political references. You can't take, look, the city of Liverpool is a massive, politically consistently spoken about place in this country. Look, we get hell from left, right, and centre, and the way in which that happens means that there'll always be a rebuttal of a strong opinion from where we're from, and that's only natural and that's only fair. And I feel what you've just said then about that lady wearing what she did there, a political statement. It's not as offensive to what you referred to in what some people wear that will antagonize others. It's not like she's walking in with two children. So you're telling me why our football club's turning that away, regardless of your political alliance? I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we're not talking about, and again, like you say, I mean, don't want to dig too deep at this because people will have the political preferences when they're listening to us. That's fine. We can't change that as much as many of us would like to. But the football club shouldn't be the people to answer unless there's a specific reason as to why. Our football club shouldn't be concerned, shouldn't be involved in anything like that whatsoever. And you pay your money, you take your choice with that. And I think just added on to that, just an alternative to ask the question to you, Real. Say if somebody turned up there with, "I love the Conservative Party." Do you know what I mean?
Well, good luck to them. Good luck.
No, this is exactly it. But they can do that, and I would like.
Yeah. Well,
I would like to have seen, had somebody done that. And look, there are Evertonians who do support the Conservative Party and reform and all the other things that are going on. Would they be turned away because it's not as? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. With the Palestine,
divisive, I think.
Yeah, but would they have been turned away? I'm pretty sure they wouldn't.
I'm sure.
What I guess I'm trying to ask is, how deep did the football club go with stuff like this?
Yeah, I know. So their counter argument would probably be, I wouldn't want to wear that because it's a football match. But in around 2019, through quite a few games, I wore a Tories out t-shirt.
Yep.
And if you remember, we had the Everton against Tories t-shirts that the Turn lads did. I never had any issue with that. I know it was a big sentiment at the time, but just because it's politically popular, does that mean that it's all right? It's like it's so, we've like a few of us have worn those t-shirts to the game and had no issues whatsoever.
I'd like to ask them if any of our contributors did it, but if you'd have worn that openly to go to Leicester or Southampton, Bournemouth, would that have been an issue to get in those games with that top on?
And also, I wouldn't expect to get turned away if I was wearing an Argentina top to the game, something like that. Colombia top.
You're making an issue for yourself that doesn't need to be there if you're Everton Football Club like that. And it's obviously a completely different subject, but I think it does relate to what we were talking about in terms of not being allowed to take your own food and drink into there. These are all things Everton are establishing now that they've never done so before. So do you cut them a bit of flack for that?
Yeah,
It's a difficult one to talk about in that regard, but yeah, nobody should be getting turned away, regardless of what top they've got on, within reason. And that reason is not what we saw.
Yeah, well, and that reason is if it's, an away team's top or Liverpool top, something that will, instantly antagonise people, which is fair enough. I'd like to know everyone's thoughts on this. I had a little bit of put it on Twitter last night, and there was a few comments. No one was really in massive disagreement with me, but I would like to know people's thoughts on it, because it does feel like it could be the thin end of a wedge, that when when you start stopping people for doing going in what is essentially a harmless top, where does it end? But anyway, we finished on a quite positive note. Not positive, quite serious note there.
Yeah. Listen, I remember getting ripped one time for going in with a fake Lacoste fake Lacoste top on. I got ripped apart by kids sitting by me. Where was the fuss there? Everton didn't say don't come in with that on.
Yeah, no jar clobber in here, lad.
That's what I mean. Imagine now you can go and get. I know because a lot of people do get them, because the kits are so expensive these days. We'll get them from alternate makers of them. Do you know what I mean? It's like the club stopping people in by noticing that isn't a real Castore top.
Oh yeah. All right, so there's a woman walking into the ground, right? She's getting a bag checked. She's getting all the grand taken out of this bag, and then suddenly the steward goes, "Is this a real Louis Vuitton?" Don't know. It's a knockoff, right? You're not coming in then. Forget it. Get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Where'd you draw the line?
Exactly. No knockoffs at Everton. Right, that's it for this week. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and stuff. And like Dave said, if you do see us at the ground next week, do come and say hello. Just don't say anything horrible.
Yeah. And Les is wearing a legit Lacoste top as well.
This is the real. I did have a lot of knockoff Lacoste as a kid, I think. Different times. Right, let us know your thoughts in the comments on YouTube or on the podcast. Coming up this week, we'll have another byline tomorrow. Got a weekly this week, Dave, and a sub.
Yeah, Warren's back this week from the States.
Oh, is he, John? Good stuff. Should have a subs weekly as well. Mailbag on Friday, and then it's all the previews for the season kicking off, and then post match on the Monday.
The preview's back, isn't it? The preview's back with Matt and a Leeds journalist / fan. Who we always have a look at ahead of the game that's coming up. So that'll be a big one, Les.
I've just realised as well, we do have another show before the Leeds game, because we have actually got Blue Monday on the day of the Leeds game. So we'll look into that game in a bit more detail.
Yeah, probably kick off. And then when we get absolutely destroyed by Leeds, we'll probably do a Blue Tuesday as well to flip and shout for David Moyes to leave. We've signed Barry for crap, and Jack Grealish is on the lash, even though we lost.
At half time.
Yeah.
Lots to look forward to anyway. Right. Thanks to everyone for watching and listening. That has been this week's Blue Monday. We will catch you next week.